Hello, in this video we will discuss about the psychosis. So the psychosis involving the schizophrenia and other things, the loss of contact with reality. So many people experience at life, but more than 4% meet criteria for psychoactive syndrome. Basically, is the real psychoactive syndrome. Other can a little bit amount of fear or something, or schizophrenia or some other complication. So the basically is the primary disease is the mental illness due to the brain defect. So the complication which that is involved in the brain we will discuss in the end of the video. So the type of the psychosis is the delusion, hallucination, and the thought disorganization. So the thought disorganization. What is delusion? Delusion mean basically here I am drawing the diagram to understand. The person is fatty, but when front of the mirror feel their own mind as a healthy and bodybuilder person. So that is the delusion. And in this way, the strongly held through personal background and culture. So their delusion is the non-bizarre and bizarre. So the non-bizarre mean the people talking about you in TV. For example, you are thinking that it's talking about myself. On the other hand, the bizarre mean the person think partner cheating on his life. So on the other hand, in this way, it can be a positive also, but negative for giving the happiness. For example, the fatty person will feel the thin and smarter. So on the other hand, the hallucination is the second type. In this way, the people will watch something, but in reality, the things are not present. So the wakeful sensory experience actually not present. So a hallucination can be phobic and philic. Philic means the pleasureful things will be show, while phobic mean the devil type or other dangerous things. So the misintegration of the real stimuli will interpret, and in this way the misinterpretation. And the basically the thought disorganization can be a disorganization of thinking and speech, and it is the basically the type we can understand the alogia and the thought blocking the occluding and the preservation and the a needle in eye, for example, you feel. So that is the example, and what will happen when I abuse, and what will be do after that degree, what will I do after 60 years. So that's complication will arise in your mind. While on the other hand, here the sign and symptom can be with a delusion, hallucination, thought disorder, and the agitation and the aggression. While the primary, this is the two type of the basically disorder. The primary is the schizophrenia, schizophrenophore, schizoaffective disorder, and the delusional disorder, and the substance induced disorder. And the secondary can be thyroid disease, for example, physiological changes, adrenal or hepatic disease, and Wilson disease, the Wilson disorder, Alzheimer's disease, Huntington, and stroke. So these all things basically here is the adrenal gland, the liver, and the thyroid gland dysfunction will lead to cause also the psychosis. That is the type of schizophrenia can be, or other phobia or philia. So on the basis of their things. So the phobia is basically you can fear from that thing. So that is the phobic like psychosis. So what is the problem basically we should understand, and we need to understand the psychosis uh, physiology, and the what is So basically the limbic system, which that involve the emotion, and on the other hand there is a lot of things, and the emotion, the regulation of appetite. So the brain is the primary disease, mental illness. So remember, this is the prefrontal cortex, and this is the nucleus accumbens is the part of limbic system, and here is the VTA. So this is the mesocortical path will be arise when this stimuli will give the response to the prefrontal cortex. So here is the nucleus accumbens, which that is stimulated by the VTA nerve. So the VTA nerve will produce the dopamine, so dopaminergic nerve, and this is the mesolimbic pathway. In this way, the VTA produce the dopamine a lot more as usual, not as usual, but a lot of dopamine will bind with the D2 receptor with the nucleus accumbens, and in this way the synaptic cleft is present here, and this is the VTA. Basically the 60% of neurons in VTA are dopaminergic, and it is controlled by the GABAergic nerves. So remember, this is we are understanding the prefrontal cortex, and this is basically when produce the more dopamine, it means the disorder can occur, while the in normal case will not occur. So here is the prefrontal cortex. So when we will take a drug, marijuana, so it will enhance the dopamine, will lead to arise the thinking differently. So here is the prefrontal cortex will bond with the less dopamine with the VTA. So the releasing less dopamine will lead to negative symptoms, evolution, social ability, will be basically con ability, and that is why the drug will stimulate these things and inhibit also these things on the basis of requirement to lead to partial psychosis will be occur during the drug time, during the half before the half life. For example, you can take drug, so it will stimulate the dopaminergic nerves to produce more dopamine, will give the different thinking and different disorganization. So the treatment is the all anti-psychotic RD2 agonists, classified as the first generation the typical and the second generation atypical, and in this way the D2 antagonist as well as 5-HT2 antagonist and 5-HT antagonist will be used for the treatment. So the treatment is available for the psychosis. So the psychosis is occur due to the social anxiety or some anxiety, as well as other proudiness or some other things basically will lead to cause the psychosis.